I believe music is a means to building campfires around which people gather for warmth. And that's what this really is. This building on 119th and 18th and Park Avenue is a huge campfire. And we want people to gather around it and to gather warmth from it and to build community and we want to show them that, man, do we recognize your beauty, your brilliance, and your genius. I mean, this is where this music is from.
Welcome to part 2 of the Foxworth Theory, interview with Grammy Award-winning jazz musician, pianist, composer, and educator, Arturo O'Farrill. I am Eugenia Foxworth. Arturo, you said that music is a vehicle to build a community. One of the amazing things that you're doing in a giving back to the community is that you're actually building a building in Spanish Harlem. And that will put the emphasis back on performance. You're doing a real building. It's not like you're building up something in a community, but this is brick and mortar. Okay, so tell us about this project and how will it benefit the community?
Well, we're not the builders of the building. The builders of the building are affordable housing specialist named Mega. And the community of Spanish Harlem got together and asked the city for more affordable housing because you know what's happening to Harlem. And so the city put out a request for proposals with the caveat that part of the response would be a cultural component. So Mega invited us to be part of their proposal along with Lantern, which is a community services organization. And so I went and I testified before housing officials and city council people and community boards. And lo and behold, they chose Timbali Terrace, which is the name of the building, to be a brand new construction in Spanish Harlem. And the first 2 floors will be the Afro Latin Music Alliance Performing Arts and Community Center. And that's a large word. We may streamline that word. I'm not sure yet. But the point is that we are doing what we've been doing anyway, what we've been doing without a home. We were in residence at Harlem School of the Arts. We were in residence at the New York City Mission Society. We have an office in Harlem. But this is the first time that we'll be able to do this kind of work in a community, which is desperately, wonderfully part of my dream, to set an imprimatur. My inspiration for the kind of work that I see that could be done comes from a place in Cuba called Fábrica de Arte. And the Fábrica de Arte is a converted factory in which there is concerts, dance recitals, gallery showings, cooking shows, community room, restaurant. I mean, there's all this stuff, all this electric, incredible energy in this building comes from that part of Cuba, that Cuban community in that nexus and in that pocket. And I know that everything that I would want to accomplish comes from the people. I'm not there for the people. I'm there to come from the people, to bring their genius to the foreground. And so we're going to have a stage, we're going to have a recording studio, we're going to have classrooms, we're going to have a community room, we're going to have a WeWork type of office environment. And it's all going to be in the service of viejitos y viejitas, y tíos y tías, y niños y niñas. We want kids, uncles, aunts, grandfathers, grandmothers to come together and participate in making music and making art and making photography and making dance and making film. Who knows? I don't know. But I know that this is in some ways the culmination of everything that I've ever believed. And I can sum this up in the simplest way. Art is not meant to be elite trappings, a construct that keeps people apart so that the moneyed don't have to interact with the non-moneyed. Art is supposed to be, first and foremost, primarily and almost only, service to one another, service to humanity. And that's what I believe. When you said this beautifully just a second ago, you said, I believe music is a means to an end. I believe music is a means to building campfires around which people gather for warmth. And that's what this really is. This building on 119th and 18th in Park Avenue is a huge campfire. And we want people to gather around it and to gather warmth from it and to build community and we want to show them that, man, do we recognize your beauty, your brilliance, and your genius. I mean, this is where this music is from. Tito Puente grew up like literally blocks from this area.
Right.
You know, and so for me, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. It's very exciting, and it's a challenge to the arts world because in a way, it's not this elite thing that we're building downtown in a gilded lily cage.
Right.
You know, it's a thing that's going to be functional. It's going to be funky. It's going to be good. It's going to be real down to earth. We're going to invite everybody in to come in and just express themselves.
And I think that's wonderful, and most communities need this now.
Yes.
Especially now. Now, when it comes to performing arts centers, the emphasis is always on, as you said, a downtown location, not uptown. Okay. You have a daunting task of raising a lot of money for this undertaking, correct?
Yeah.
And how do you intend to get the capital?
I have a lot of optimism and faith in the people of New York City. I do. I think there are dedicated philanthropists, organizations that really see the need to invest in humanity, not in profit. And so we're very lucky to work with the Arnhold Foundation. John Arnhold and his wife Jody have been supporters of mine since I began this thing. We've been very, very, very lucky to work closely with the Mellon Foundation, with the Ford Foundation, with Pell's, with the New York State Council of the Arts. And a personal badge of honor for me is that Mayor Eric Adams, House Speaker Adrian Adams, Borough President Mark Levine, and Department of Cultural Affairs Commissioner Lori Cumbo have committed a lot of money, I can't say, but a lot of the funding that is going to be basically a slap of confidence on us. They have given us their endorsement, and you can't buy that.
No.
And when the city of New York says, yeah, these people are doing what they say they're doing, that's the hugest endorsement that I can think of. And so we did a feasibility survey, and we figured out how much money it would take to fill out. Basically, they're delivering us what they call a vanilla box, which is just an empty shell. And so we have to build it out. We have to pick the chairs, the bathroom fixtures. I mean, stuff like that. It costs billions. Not millions, sorry, billions. It costs millions. And, but we've done studies, and a lot of people have the Afro Latin Jazz Alliance in high respect. It's one of the most respected nonprofits in the city of New York. And so but we've done the work. We've taught the kids, and you know, we've been in the community, and we've done what we've said we were going to do during the pandemic. We had a weekly stream called Virtual Birdland, and we used that virtual stream to raise funds to help artists, freelance artists, stay in New York. We raised $110,000 that we gave out in $200 and $500 grants to artists who were having trouble keeping their bills, paying their bills, and staying in New York. That's the kind of stuff that we've done, that we will continue to do, and as long as I have breath, I will continue to ask my staff to help us do.
Well, I think that's wonderful. But I think what you're doing, it's all going to come to you. I've noticed that in some of the outer boroughs and in Westchester, they're beginning to do this. They're giving. The city has money.
Oh yeah.
And so I think it's quite special.
It's interesting because there are neighborhoods that are somehow swept away in the process of gentrification, and you know, it's tragic to me. We want to bring in tricky thing about this building is it's affordable housing. 30% of the units in this building have been designated for families transitioning out of homelessness. How much more of a commitment can you make to a community? We want young families to have a place to live in Spanish Harlem that they're quickly being priced out of. We don't invest in those young families. If we don't invest in those families transitioning out of homelessness, then Spanish Harlem will become another gentrified neighborhood that has lost touch with what it once was. We don't want that. And we really believe the presence of the Afro Latin Alliance Music Community Arts Center will be a beacon not only of culture and hope and of expression for the entire community, but we want it to also be a place of economic revitalization for that neighborhood, so that jobs are created, so that families can stay, so that people can stay in the neighborhood they were raised in.
Absolutely.
And that is so important to me.
Absolutely. It is important. And at this time, it's important to me. We have to take a short break.
Okay.
And we'll be back in just
you,
a
Eugenia.
moment.
You hear that? It's the good stuff, huh, Keith?
We gonna get to the bottom of this shit tonight.
Welcome back. We are here with Grammy Award-winning jazz musician, pianist, composer, and educator Arturo O'Farrill. You are actively practicing your craft. You continue to perform at Birdland. When you're in New York City, you are working on an opera. You still record, perform, and tour globally. Why is it so important to get the word out, and how can you possibly fit all of that in?
Wow, that's the second part of your question. I can hear my wife in Brooklyn going, "Yay!" She just gave you a hoot and a holler, man. She's asking me, well, how do I possibly fit it all in? I think that all of it is interrelated. I began this whole journey because I heard Herbie Hancock when I was 12. And I went, oh my God, if I can learn to play like that, then my life will be complete. Mm-hmm. But when I learned to play the piano, my life wasn't complete. So I figured then if I get employed as a musician, my life will be complete. And then I got employed as a musician and my life wasn't complete. And I said, well, if I get my own recordings, my life will, that happened, my life wasn't complete. I said, I get a little notoriety, my life will be complete. Then I got a little Grammy, blah, blah, blah. What I found was that my life became complete when I was able to speak truth from my heart about the things that I witnessed being a human being on earth at this time, at this moment in society. And what we see is not fair. What I witness, what I see, what I report on is things that ought not be. And so I've taken the stance of being very politically outspoken in my music, and instead of squashing my career, it's actually helped it, because I think there are other people who understand that when you use your platform to speak for them, for those that cannot speak, for those that cannot complain about the condition of our planet, the condition of our cities, and the condition of our state, that you're fulfilling a very ancient, you're fulfilling a griot function, you're fulfilling a truth-telling, journalistic function. Mm-hmm. And so playing the piano is just, again, it's an entry point to composing, to building, to creating opportunities for us. The opera I'm writing is an opera about an Ecuadorian immigrant named Marcelo Lucero, who was killed in a hate crime in Patchogue by a bunch of teenagers who were busy going Mexican hunting. I mean, this is horrendous. It's hard for me to even say these words. And if it's hard for me to even say these words, then it might be hard for people to have to come to terms with this. But that doesn't let you off the hook. Being a truth teller, being a griot, being a journalist, that's where I found my happiness as an artist. And so it's important to me to get the word out, because this is the job. This is the job. In fact, forget about it being the job of the artist. It's the job of the human being to be a truth teller. It's the job of the human being to share what you see with others.
Yes.
Otherwise, you get it, people who are just content to turn away when they see something horrendous happen. Mm-hmm.
Out of
the
sight,
other way.
out of mind.
Look the other way when you see injustice.
Absolutely.
And now that we have cameras, you can't hide that injustice.
No.
You can't hide that neck on the knee. Can't hide the injustice that is perpetrated on young black men. Can't hide it. So the time is over. Speak your truth.
Right.
Speak to power and do it with courage.
Yes. And so the one thing that is quite special to you also is the ability to diversify the look of Afro Latin jazz music and making it more about equity and diversity. How do you think your goal to achieve this equality will be received?
It is difficult to make change in the music industry. We've seen far too much male presence in the business of jazz and in general. In the executive leadership positions, we do not have women of color running the show yet, and I think that's a huge mistake. And so once every year, I open up my orchestra to auditions because I don't want my musicians to look anything like the face of the people of this city. And so I'm very proud to say we've really opened up the ranks. We have 5 women in our orchestra, but this is really unusual for a jazz orchestra. Look at 10 jazz orchestras, and you won't see hardly any women.
Right.
We have 5.
Great.
And I won't be content until the orchestra is half female.
That's great.
And maybe it's just, and some people are going, well, it doesn't matter if they're female or male, it just matters if they're good. Wait a second. BS. First of all, quality is equal in both. So at some point you have to go, no, it's not about quality. It's about opportunity. And if you're fair about opportunity, you'll remember that somebody gave you an opportunity. And that's what you should do to a young person, whether they're male, female, green, red, black, polka dotted, I don't care. But especially if someone has been intentionally under-marginalized for years, I'm going to go in that direction.
I know. I saw one of the horn players is a young musician. She came about before the pandemic. And when she walked on stage, she had her sax. She had her, you know who I'm talking about.
Alexa Tarantino or Addison Evans, either one.
Addison Evans,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, amazing. So it's interesting. But one final question. Are there any particular artists in the Afro Latin jazz music genre who you consider the one to watch?
Wow, that's a really good question. Kasemda George is a saxophone player.
She plays with Winston Marsalis.
No, who's that plays with Winston?
There's a young lady that came about.
What's
her name?
I know exactly who you're talking about. There's so many great women.
Yeah.
But I mean, of all the artists, there's just too many to even begin to
begin.
Yeah, Camila Meza is another wonderful
so you don't
artist.
so you're just.
Well, there are people.
To look.
You know who I would consider one of my heroes is Claudia Acuna. I don't know if you know Claudia Acuna.
Her. No.
She's a Chilean singer, but in the way she really represents, in a way, as mature a singer in jazz as any singer I've ever heard. Carolyn Calvache is a wonderful pianist. Marta Sanchez. Rachel Therian is a trumpet player from Montreal, but she's basically Cuban at heart. And, you know, so there's a lot of young artists, both male and female, that I think are the future of Afro Latin jazz. And I think it's, hey, man, I'm out here. Take over, man, because I'm ready to relax to my villa in Tuscany.
Okay, that's easy to buy because the property's there, cheap.
I might be able to afford it. I might be able to afford an apartment in Fort Lee. I don't know about the villa in Tuscany.
Well, I want to thank Arturo O'Farrill
Eugenia,
for joining us.
A pleasure.
On the Foxworth Theory and educating us on nuances of Afro Latin jazz music and opening our awareness on keeping the music thriving. I also want to thank the filmmaker, producer, and writer, Andrew Fountain, founder of 12-3 Productions, for sponsoring the Foxworth Theory. His new film, False Pretenses, debuts on Thanksgiving Day in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The movie will also be available on streaming on Thanksgiving Day, so go to www.falsepretensesthemovie.com for more information, okay? Now, the Foxworth Theory airs Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m. I am Eugenia Foxworth. Thank you for watching.
You hear that? It's the good stuff, huh, Keith?
We gonna get to the bottom of this shit tonight.
Hi, this is Eugenia Foxworth. Thank you so much for tuning into the Foxworth Theory. We are celebrating going into our 3rd season. Can you believe that? We are opening our doors to sponsorships for the Foxworth Theory. For more information, go to thefoxworththeory.com or email us at PR@thefoxworththeory.com. Thank you.